Amazing. Thank you for that. We'll swing right into Combat Corner. We got UFC 266. Yeah, that's right. It's 266 coming up this Saturday. It's been a while since we had a pay-per-view event. I think almost 6 weeks. The last one was like the first or second week of August. A double title fight and another Diaz 5-round main event. I wonder if they're going to come up with some sort of nickname for those. And when the first, I guess Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier have had 2 5-round main events, but those were main events, whereas these Diaz fights aren't main events and they're still 5 rounds. Anywho, I guess I'll start with Diaz Lawler. It's a rematch, Nick, not Nate. His last fight being that one against Anderson Silva 6-7 years ago now. That was a bit disappointing. I'm just talking about it because you have to. I'm not particularly excited about it. Robbie Lawler on a 4-fight losing streak or something. Who knows what we're going to get from Nick. But the name value alone, just, it's going to bring a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attention. The Diaz army and a somewhat washed up former champion on a 4-fight losing streak is probably the opponent Nick needs. So certainly some interest there, but far more interesting for me before that on the main card is Yarzinho Rozenstruik fighting Curtis Blaydes. I think Blaydes probably takes this easy, but you love seeing him go up against a guy with one-punch knockout power, because that's who he's lost to in Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. Lewis put out a kind of interesting game plan on how to beat him, and Junior Dos Santos had shown something similar and then lost in the striking, that if you really just focus on nullifying the wrestling, you have a shot. And Rosenstrike, career kickboxer who's been in MMA sometime. I'm sure he has average grappling, but you need far better than that to deal with Blaydes' relentless pressure, especially over 3 rounds when he's not going to gas. So I love Blaydes for that. I'm sure he's a huge favorite. He should be. But seeing a top-tier striker go up against a top-tier wrestler, always fun. Heavyweight means the consequences are just so much higher. I guess I'll talk in ascending order then. Co-main event, Lauren Murphy versus Valentina Shevchenko. Shevchenko just looking to have a champion career far later in her career than she should have, but the flyweight division is hers. There are 0 challengers who seem remotely interesting, so they just have to feed her whoever deserves it most, and at this point, that's Lauren Murphy. She's put together a nice winning streak, gotten past the opponents she's been put in front of. I thought she kind of had a draw in her last fight against the Scottish striker who I love, and his name I can't think of right now. Joanna something, I think. Sheesh. I'll have to throw a note into the video on that. Murphy's career fighter, amazing story, of course. She signed her child up for jiu-jitsu, then at the gym decided she'd try her hand at it as a mom already, and now she's fighting for a UFC world title. So you've got to love that. This is her moment. Her whole career's been building towards. It's just I don't see a hair of a chance, a ghost of a chance, because my favorite thing about Murphy is something Chavchenko does 100 times better. The Murphy fight that really stood out to me was her only stoppage win on this streak against an opponent who'd never fought in the UFC before, mind you, and was very green but somewhat dangerous, and you could see everything that girl was doing was incredibly loopy. Murphy, in contrast, was just so refined. She had no wasted or needless movement and was able to make everything count. I just think Shevchenko does that so much better. And Shevchenko's she's the reverse John Jones, where also amazing at everything, but she doesn't try and beat her opponent at what they're best at. She tries to beat them at what they're worst at. If you're a striker, then she's just going to take you down and crucifix you and stop you. She's already done that twice as a title defense. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it as a 3rd time. Those judo trips are have been OP so far. No one's had an answer for them. You hope eventually girls will start training this and they'll be able to deal with it, but I don't think Lauren Murphy's the one. Main event, Brian Ortega, Alexander Volkanovsky. Really excited for this one because styles make fights. On paper, Ortega absolutely walloped by Max Holloway. Volkanovsky beaten Holloway twice. So you don't and Holloway just pieced up Ortega on the feet, and Volkanovsky was able to hang and outpoint strike Holloway. What I love most about this, or for Ortega's chance, is two things. One, the power. That punch on Frankie Edgar, that one punch, uppercut, knockout, terrifying. And that fight against the Korean Zombie, after a nearly 2-year layoff after the Holloway fight, he stunned Zombie so many times, which is the most anyone can really do to him up to now, at least. So the power, definitely something he has, where 1 or 2 punches could change the whole fight in a way that Holloway can't really do. He usually needs like a lot of moments to start gathering that momentum. And the second thing is the jiu-jitsu. Means that the wrestling pressure Volkanovsky wants to put on is going to mean absolutely nothing to Ortega. I'm sure he would love nothing more than for Volkanovsky to take him down. So that's something that was to Volk's advantage against Holloway that he will not have in his pocket. So those two things, I think it does make it a really interesting fight. Ortega never out of the fight. He's had multiple third-round comebacks. So 5 rounds definitely favors him for that. He looked sensational against Zombie. So really interested to see the improvements he's put on display, because no one's had an answer for Volkanovsky yet in the featherweight division. He's the champion. He's undefeated in the UFC. He's going up against a good challenge. So you can't ask for anything more than that in a main event. And I'm very excited for it. That is going to wrap up this combat corner. And I'll pass it back to Owen to kick off our basketball storylines.